Good morning. This morning we are going to discuss a specific aspect of the English language, that is framing questions. We ask questions in so many ways, and when we are writing, we think that by using a question mark at the end, the question comes okay and everything is fine. It's not like that. There are certain patterns that we will have to adhere to while we are framing questions. Okay? Whether it is in our conversation, whether it is in our writing, or whether it is in any of the literary exercises that we are having, we will have to adhere to, or we will have to be careful about certain patterns in the question, the formation of the questions. And this formation of the questions is exactly what we are going to talk about this morning. Okay. Now let's take, instead of going into any of these legalities about the grammar and the grammatical rules and all that, let us take a few examples and see what exactly I am trying to tell you. Now what happens is that this is one of the important mistakes, or one of the very common mistakes that beginners, especially the middle school children and all, they make when they are writing, and that is why I thought we will deal with this question framing. Now imagine, I want to get this following answer to my question, and let us see in how many ways I can ask questions in order to get this answer. I want to get the answer, I teach for a living. I teach for a living. I want to get this answer. In how many ways can I ask a question in order to get this particular answer? For example, you can ask, why do you teach? You can ask, how do you earn a living? You can ask, what do you do to earn a living? You can ask, do you do anything to earn a living? Now to all these questions, the answer will be, I teach for a living. For example, why do you teach? I teach for a living. How do you earn a living? The answer will be, I teach for a living. What do you do to earn a living? The answer is, I teach for a living. Do you do anything to earn a living? The answer is, I teach for a living. So, to get this answer, I teach for a living, you can ask the question in different ways. Okay, mainly using what we call the WH question words. WH question words. Okay, now before we go on to the next part of it, I'll just pause here a little bit, and then I will tell you something very, very important. WH question words are who, what, why, where, then how also is included in this WH words, question words. Okay. Now why I am pausing here is, how do we pronounce this W? This is a very important thing, especially within the context of the local languages. So how do we pronounce the W H or the W as such? Okay, we don't say what, but we say what. The W is pronounced by rounding up the lips and throwing the breath out of the mouth. What? Now this, for example, is who. This is, for example, why. Round up the lips. Why? Then we have got where. Then we have got how. So the W's are pronounced with the rounding up the lips and then throwing the breath out. Say for example, water. Water. It's a waiter. its weight here. So in all these cases, the W is pronounced by rounding up the lips and letting the breath out of your mouth forcefully. Okay, so that is just for in passing. Be careful about that. Now what we are going to the questions, going back into the questions. We were saying that we can ask questions with the WH question words. Okay. Now you look at the placement of the auxiliary word. For example, we have why do you work, or why do you teach? Okay, why do you teach? Now this is what we call the auxiliary verb. Okay, what is an auxiliary verb? An auxiliary verb is simply speaking, it is a helping verb. Now how does an auxiliary verb help? The auxiliary verb helps in the formation of the different tenses. How do you do? What are you doing? What will you be doing? So how do, that do, how are, that are, and what will, that will be all auxiliary verbs in order to form, helping you to form the different tenses of the verb. Okay, so you see that in a question, the position of the auxiliary verb is very important. Say for example, why do you teach? Teach is the main verb and it is a present tense, it is a question, and therefore the auxiliary verb comes immediately after the why. Why do you teach? It is not why you teach, that is not English. It's why do you teach. Second one is how do you earn a living? How do you earn a living? Do comes immediately after the question word. Then what do you do to earn a living? What do you do? The first do is an auxiliary verb. The second do is the main verb from the infinitive to do. So the first do is supposed to be an auxiliary verb, and the place of the auxiliary verb is immediately after the question word. Okay, see, so it is what do you do to earn a living? Do you do anything? Do you do anything to earn a living? That do is the auxiliary verb. Since there is no question verb word along with that, we have got to put the auxiliary first. Do you do anything to earn a living? So you will have to be very, very careful about the order of the words. Okay, and it is not why you teach. That is not English, but it is why do you teach? Okay, similarly, you don't ask why you are smiling. That is not English, but you ask why are you smiling? So the position of the auxiliary verb becomes very important. That is what we call correct English. Okay, similarly, let us look at another example with the same example with a different tense. Okay, we will take a different tense. The answer to my question, the answer that I am expecting is I taught for a living. I taught for a living. I taught is supposed to be the past tense of to teach. Okay, so in how many ways can we ask the question in order to get the same answer? For example, the possible questions can be, why did you teach? The previous one we said, why do you teach? Here it is, why did you teach? So what will the answer be? The answer will be, I taught for a living. So suppose you say, how did you earn a living? In the previous one we said, how do you earn a living? Now we are saying, how did you earn a living? Because my answer is, I taught for a living. So the question will be, how did you earn a living? See the position of did. How did you earn a living? Okay. Then another possibility is, what what did you do to earn a living? What did you do to earn a living? The answer will be, I taught for a living. Then, did you do anything to earn a living? The answer will be, I taught for a living. Okay, so the position of the auxiliary verb remains the same. The tense is different because the answer that I am expecting is in the past tense. Okay, now you see in did you do anything for a living? Did you do anything for a living? The first did is supposed to be the auxiliary, it is in the past. Since the auxiliary is in the past, the main verb, that is do, will not be in the past, but that will be the infinitive of the verb. Okay, what is the meaning of infinitive? Generally speaking, when you learn a verb, we learn the verb in three parts. For example, to, do, then did, then did. Or instead of did, it will be done. Okay. And so, this is the infinitive. This is the past tense and this is the past participle. This is what we call the infinitive. This is the past tense and this is the past participle. Now, what is the significance of these parts of the verb? The significance is that it is from these parts that we extract the different tenses. Okay? Like for example, we say to eat. To eat, the past tense is ate and the past participle is eaten. Okay? To put, then it is the past tense is put and the past participle also is put. Okay? Then to write. Then past tense is wrote and the past participle is written. So these are the different parts of the verb. Then these are all the exceptional verbs which has got three different parts to different tenses. But then there are other regular verbs. For example, you get sleep, to sleep, slept, like that. Okay. So this infinitive is supposed. So when you look at the did you do anything, it is supposed to be a past tense, and the past tense is indicated by the auxiliary, and that is why the first one is did and the second one is the infinitive, and therefore it remains as do. Did you do anything for a living? Okay, and therefore that is important for you to remember. Let's take another tense, another example. I will teach to earn a living. Suppose you say I will teach to earn a living. That is supposed to be in the future tense. I will teach to earn a living. Okay, suppose you say your answer is that I will teach to earn a living, future tense. The possible questions can be, how will you earn a living? Why will you teach? Why will you teach? What will you do to earn a living? What will you do to earn a living? I will teach to earn a living. Will you do anything to earn a living? The answer is I will teach to earn a living. So in order to get this question, I will teach to earn a living, there are different ways of asking the question. But you will have to remember that the order of the words is very important. Okay, and that is the thing that you will have to get used to. Now it will be how will you earn a living, not how you will earn a living. How you will earn a living is not English, and the proper of the order of the words will be how will you earn a living. Okay, suppose you say, very common thing that you say, I wrote the paper well. Your answer is, I wrote the paper well. What questions can you ask in order to get that answer? How did you write the paper? How did you write the paper? The did is supposed to be the auxiliary. Since the answer is in the past tense, the question also has to be in the past tense. So in order to indicate that it is in the past tense, the auxiliary is in the past and the main verb is supposed to be the infinitive, and therefore the question will be, how did you write the paper? Suppose, you can also ask, did you write the paper well? The answer will be, I wrote the paper well. So in order to get the answer, I wrote the paper well, your question will be, did you write the paper well? Now it is in the past tense, similar to the previous one. The auxiliary will be in the past and the main verb will be in the infinitive. So did you write, not did you wrote. Okay. So suppose you say, your answer is, I did not do anything. I did not do anything. What will the question be? What did you do? The question can be, what did you do? Another possible question can be, did you do something? To which the negative answer will be, I did not do anything. Not I did not do nothing, but I did not do anything. So did you do anything or what did you do? The answer will be, I did not do anything. So that is the way that you form the question. Suppose you find a man laying bricks. Laying bricks. Okay. Now, what kind of possible questions can you ask him? You can ask him, for example, why are you laying bricks? Why are you laying bricks? Okay, why are you laying bricks? Now you are laying bricks. This is supposed to be the present continuous tense. But see the order of the words. Why are you laying bricks? It's not why you are laying bricks. It is why are you laying bricks. The earlier example I have given you, it is not why you are smiling, but why are you smiling. This is supposed to be a very, very common mistake that many people make. They ask a question just like that, why you are laying bricks. It's not why you are laying bricks, but it is why are you laying bricks. That is supposed to be a very important thing, the order of the words. Another question can be, what do you do to build a wall? Okay, then how do you build a wall can be another question. Then another question is, what are you doing to build a wall? I am laying bricks to build a wall. Okay. Now in all these cases, you will have to note the position and the tense of the auxiliary verb, and then the position and the tense of the main verb. The main verb will be in the infinitive and therefore it will remain unchanged like that. Okay. But here, since it is supposed to be the continuous tense, then it will be, why are you laying bricks? Then what do you do to build a wall? How do you build a wall? What are you doing? Are doing, that is supposed to be the present continuous tense, and therefore that little change of form is there. But be very careful about the order of the words, and particularly the order of the auxiliary verb. Okay. Now there are other questions also. There are questions that demand the answer either yes or no. For example, do you have a smartphone? For example, do you have a smartphone? Okay, do you have a smartphone? Question mark, a smartphone. Do you have, it's not you have a smartphone, but do you have a smartphone? Then the answer can be, yes, I have a smartphone. Okay. Then suppose you say, will you call me up when you reach Udupi? Will you call me up when you reach Udupi? The answer can be yes or it can be no. But see the question. Will you call me up? Not you will call me up. But will you call me up when you reach Udupi? So the answer can be yes, I will call you up when I reach Udupi, or no, I will not call you up when I reach Udupi. So there are questions that demand the answer as either yes or no, and the order of the words will be what we have got to note. Okay, do you have a smartphone? Do you have a, so the do comes in front. Will you call me up when you reach Udupi? The will comes in front. Okay, and then there can also be framed by using modals. The yes and no question can also be framed by using modals. Now, what are modals? Modals are supposed to be again something like the auxiliary verbs, and you can have, say, can and could. Okay, then may and might, will and would, shall and should. These are what we call modal verbs. Okay. Now, these yes and no questions can also be formed by using these modal verbs. Okay. Like, for example, can you get me a copy of today's newspaper? Can you get me? Means, will you please get me? Okay, and that is supposed to be a question, and the answer can be yes, I can get you a copy of today's newspaper, or no, I will not be able to get you a copy of today's news. So it can be either yes or no. Now, will you please lend me your book for one day? Will you please lend me your book for one day? Okay, shall I come along with you? No, you cannot come along with me. But the question is, shall I come along with you? So these yes and no questions can also be framed with modals, that is verbs like can and could and may and might and will and would and shall and should and all that. Okay. Now there is an exercise that will be coming to you along with these notes on the YOLO app for the students of St.Norbert School, and you can access that, download it and print it out and see if you can answer these questions, or if you can do this exercise. If you can do it properly, then you will be able to be very, very thorough in this particular aspect. That is, the exercise asks you to answer or to make questions as many as possible in order to get this answer. For example, I have eggs in the basket. That is the first sentence. I have eggs in the basket. What kind of questions can you ask? What do you have in the basket? Isn't it? Where do you have the eggs? How are you carrying the eggs? I have eggs in the basket. That is so when you get that particular answer, you see in how many ways you can ask questions, but be careful about the position of the auxiliary, be careful about the order of the words, and be careful about the tenses of the questions. They have to correspond to the tenses of the answer that is given to you. For example, she is doing her work carefully to escape punishment in school. Question can be, what is she doing? Question can be, why is she doing her homework so carefully? Okay, what will happen to her if she does not do the homework in school? Okay, so those are the questions that you get. So think about as many questions as in some sentences you may be able to answer, ask two questions. In other sentences you may be able to answer, able to ask 3 questions or 4 questions. Do as many questions as you possibly can, but tally the questions with the answer that is given and see if the tenses and everything tally, and do that very carefully. You got 32 sentences to make questions, and so you will be getting at least around, say, 64 questions to be written. Okay, so this will be given to you in your YOLO app. Download it and see if you can print it out and work it out, and the teacher, your class teacher, can look at it as the school reopens. This exercise will be good for standard 5 upwards. Okay, so all those from standard 5 upwards will be able to do this exercise. Have a nice day.